Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're well. We're going to keep this update as brief as possible and possibly the briefest in the history of Investor Unity. And the reason is not because there's a lack of action in the markets. It's quite the opposite. In fact, as you've no doubt been following yourself and heard on every news channel, every blog and every newsletter, you can imagine. The only point of advice I have at this point is to be patient, be neutral, and be very, very careful of all the opinions that try to give you some sort of prediction. If anybody thinks that they can truly make sense of what's happening in any meaningful way in terms of how this is going to play out, at least in the short term, be very, 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 very wary. And you know that I tell you to be wary at the best of times. So I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and I mean, I have been in this industry for some time, coming on 20 years now. This is some of the most unusual price action I've ever seen, especially in the indices. And it's not that it can't be explained, it's just that the explanation behind the explanation and converting that into some sort of logical rationale and therefore extrapolating that to make some sort of meaningful prediction in terms of probability relative to risk versus reward is a fool's game, and I cannot stress that enough. So you've heard the stories, you know what's happening. The markets were looking like they were falling out of the sky, and in fact they were. And then we had a single message posted on social media that just caused the most unusual and possibly strongest reversal that I've seen, and certainly the strangest price action we've seen in many, many years. So it's all very strange. It's all very anomalous. We know why it's strange. We just don't know what's going to happen. I've been saying it for a long time. It's all political, and it's not just political. It's in a centralized sense. It's how these centralized political decisions are going to be reacted to by other relatively small groups of also politically driven decision makers. Okay? So be very careful of anyone. I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. Be very careful of anyone who's offering you any kind of strong probabilistic opinions that you can turn into some sort of plan, at least in the short to medium term. There are other background events occurring in terms of Iran. There are other background events occurring in terms of the Ukraine-Russia situation. The Middle East is ongoing. There are all kinds of unpredictabilities. The only positive sense as such is that the 90-day pause that caused this rally here does offer some degree of clarity in the sense that it's now clearer that this is really all about China and the US, or at least China as the central player, so to speak. What's surprising, in fact, is how surprised the markets have been by this, because if you've been following our sessions for some time, you'll know that it's always been there on the cards. We've been talking about this as being highly anomalous conditions for some time. So it was a little bit surprising how surprised the markets were by this. Nonetheless, that's where we're at the moment. Very unusual developments in equities, as you can imagine, and very unusual developments in the US dollar index that we see here, and very unusual developments in gold, in a positive sense, of course, for our good friends, the gold bugs, and the Australian dollar gold looks even more impressive again. So look, the Signet strategies are holding up reasonably well. They are equities exposed largely, but holding up very well across the board. Not across the board, but on balance, I should say. MSP remains neutral. We did have a longer term portfolio outlook presentation intended for next week. That has been put on pause. There's not much point at this time trying to make longer term plans and predictions and so forth. This is a great time to be patient, especially if you are risk neutral or largely risk neutral. It's a great time to be just enjoying that luxury as such. Okay, it's also a great time to educate yourself, not necessarily on the current developments, but broader things, broader concepts. If that's something you're interested in, we have courses and articles that have been published much more actively. One on AI, which continues to be a focus of our development, not just in terms of picking the markets, but also just general sort of quality of life and convenience factors for clients, and a range of articles and other things like that that we're publishing more actively. Not so much on the current drama because it is, as I say, just very anomalous, but more so on broader concepts, quasi-philosophical type stuff, if you can handle that, and yeah, just a range of other things, tools, calculators, and so forth. A lot has been added to the website, to the point where it's actually it can be somewhat overwhelming, which puts us in a difficult position, of course, because we want to provide people with value, but we don't want to be overwhelming them. That's the beauty, however, of the AI. It can now help you distill and discern and find that type of information, summarize it, answer your questions live on the spot 24/7, and put everything into much clearer and actionable context for you. I'll leave it there. Hope you have a good weekend. Please stay informed with the updates. Please update your member profile as well for all the reasons we've discussed. And stay tuned for more for next week, which is poised to be yet another exciting week. That's all for now. Bye bye.